Iran is holding a presidential election to replace Ebrahim Raisi, who was killed in a helicopter crash earlier this year. The vote comes at a time where tensions are heightened between the West and groups backed by Iran, including Hamas, Hezbollah and the Houthis. Joining me live is Alireza, Jafarzadeh, National Council of Resistance of Iran Deputy Director. Welcome to the program. Thank you for coming on. This election, is it a foregone conclusion? Do we just know who's going to win it?
Well, honestly speaking, Tim, I think the outcome wouldn't really make much of a difference because in Iran, under the Ayatollahs, the candidates are all vetted and confirmed by the supreme leader, and he's basically vetting machine known as the Guardian Council. And the four people who were on the ballot really made not much of a difference. They were all allegiant to the supreme leader, Khamenei. They were all endorsed by the system. There are no outsiders. Some of them are labeled as more moderate in compared to the other. But even the most moderate among the other ones, the way at least it was perceived, is actually someone who said he is fully allegiant to the supreme leader, Khamenei, that he feels he's like part of his body. He said his only job, he just said it last week during the campaign, his only job is to implement the policies of the supreme leader. What are those policies? Terrorism, weapons of mass destruction, missile program, drone program externally, but also inside Iran, there's going to be more repression, putting down the revolt, the uprisings, plundering the nation, and just continuing the systematic, the plundering of the system by the very few people who are ruling the country. Iran is a very rich country with the second largest oil and gas reserves in the world, yet 80% of the population live below the poverty line. Yep. And those are the issues that are going to stay the same after the elections.
What about people power? You're obviously an integral part of the resistance, and since the dawn of time, people power has been an amazing thing, the way that it has caused change. Where are you at, and the people like you who are calling for change in Iran?
Well, actually, I think first to start with today, all of the reports coming out of Iran, even the few reporters who were on the ground, including our own network also on the ground, clearly showed that the people in large part boycotted the elections. They didn't go to the voting stations, despite all the hype that the regime was trying to build around this special election to replace Raisi. People have long decided that the path for change, as you suggested, is not through the ballot box with this regime. It's actually through the street, through the uprisings. Since 2017, there have been several rounds of major uprisings against the Iran regime, people chanting death to the Khamenei, death to the supreme leader, death to the dictator, be the supreme leader or the Shah. And they call for change. And interestingly, just tomorrow in Berlin, at the time that the regime is going to announce at least the preliminary stage outcome of the so-called elections, the sham elections, tens of thousands of Iranians are going to show up in Berlin and call for regime change in Iran, call for supporting those who want to bring down the theocracy in the country and establish a democratic, secular, non-nuclear republic in Iran. They're going to be calling for support for the Iranian opposition movement, the alternative known as the National Council of Resistance of Iran, and its president-elect, Mrs. Mariam Rajavi, who has introduced a 10-point plan for the future of Iran, which is in sharp contrast to everything the Ayatollahs represent in the country. And that platform has gained the support of over 4,000 parliamentarians, including many from Australia and also in Europe and the majority of the parliaments in US and European nations. So that's the people power, as you said, that is very evident both on the ground in Iran during the protests, but also outside of Iran in the form of the parliament in exile and the activities they have done outside of the country and the international support they have garnered for a free democratic republic Iran.
Thank you for coming on the program. Really appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me.